Hello everyone, I am Daniel. Welcome back to the channel. Once again, we're going to take a look at the new Core 2026 Arkham Horror the card game investigators and fix the starter decks. As you well know from the previous discussion where we talked about Joe Diamond, these decks include one copy of every card they can take from the two classes. In this case, we talked about Daniela. It'll be Guardian and Survivor, and then there's a bunch of neutral cards. And we want to fix this to make your deck better, more consistent, and just maybe more focused in terms of what you want to do with the Investigator. So let's start off by talking about Daniela herself. She is the Guardian Investigator in this set, and what that means is that she can do a lot of fighting. Check out her stat line: 3 willpower, 2 intellect, 5 combat, 2 evade, 2 agility. And in a reaction ability, after an enemy attacks an investigator at your location, fight that enemy using either a basic fight action or a fight ability on a card once per round. Now, this basically says, I want to take advantage of my card, get attacked a lot. Sometimes you can take advantage of this if some other investigator at your location gets attacked, but I don't think they were planning on that. So this should be something that Daniela is planning on doing often enough. Action compression is how you win this game. This is a free action to potentially do a lot of damage. In order to do it, though, you need to get attacked first. Should point out that how this works is that you have the ability after the enemy has finished its attack to fight back using something that is a basic fight. So you'll just be doing your basic 5 combat here and 1 damage, or it could be on a weapon. If this happens during your turn, for example, maybe you took an attack of opportunity, then you're able to take actions on something like a sledgehammer. We'll see the upgraded sledgehammer later, and use up an extra one of your actions. This is basically giving you one free action. You need to spend all the other costs, whether that's ammo on a gun or extra actions or exhausting the card. So it's not completely free. You do need to spend the extra additional costs. Outside of your turn, you're not allowed to spend actions, so it can only be on something that only costs you a single action, but you still could spend ammo or exhaust the card, whatever. This is a tricky investigator to play because you need to know how to make this not just be an early exit from the scenario. You want to get attacked, but you only have, as you see here, 9 health and 5 sanity. A lot of health, really. 9 is a lot, but it's really less than that, as we'll see in a second. Elder Sign ability is +1, deal 1 damage to an enemy at your location. Very good. It's just extra damage. There's no May here, so you got to do it, but it's usually not a problem. So you have one big number and a bunch of other little numbers, and you want to make that big number be good, be used for as much as possible. Okay, her deck building is the normal stuff we've seen in this set. You have 30 cards in the deck, and then also the signatures and the basic weakness. And then level 0 to 5 Guardian, level 0 to 2 Survivor. Beginning the campaign, just start with level 0 cards. The neutral cards also you can add in later. So where does it leave us with her other cards? These are her signatures. She gets 1 copy of Daniela's Wrench. This is a 2-cost asset, takes up 1 hand. Item, tool, weapon, and melee. And it's got a free triggered ability to exhaust it, choose an enemy at your location. That enemy engages you and makes an immediate attack. So then you can use your ability to attack back. That's the idea. So if you haven't gotten attacked yet and you want to do that, this is really nice. Also for engaging enemies off of other investigators or engaging enemies that are otherwise aloof and otherwise wouldn't be eligible for your fight. Now the bottom part gives you something to do with that fight action that you're getting. So it's not just a basic fight anymore. If you're doing your counterattack, you get to use this, which is a +2. So fighting at 7 is really good. If the enemy attacked you this round, it'll deal +1 damage. So it has to have attacked you before this, which could be using that top part of the wrench. Again, Daniela is really strong because you can have attacks of opportunity that just makes this happen anyway. The top part of the wrench is nice for getting enemies that are just otherwise engaged and wouldn't provoke that attack of opportunity. The gold standard for dealing damage in this game is +1 damage per action. So potentially you can get the enemy to engage you and attack you. Then you use your free action, your reaction ability on your card to deal, say, 2 damage back, right? And then you still have your 3 actions. So you could do 8 damage in 1 round if you were doing nothing but that. You will need to get attacked first. Remember, if you're taking damage and horror, maybe just one of those things. If it's all of those things, it's tough. You need to make sure that you are not just getting knocked out after doing this just a few times, especially with that 5 sanity. You can only take 5 horror before being, well, you take the 5th horror, you're defeated. You're done for the day. Your weakness makes things tough too. This is called In Harm's Way. It's a treachery. It goes into play in your threat area. After you deal damage to an enemy, take 1 damage and place 1 damage token on In Harm's Way. If there are 3 or more damage on this card, discard it. If this is still in play, when the game ends, you get a physical trauma. Not great. But really what this means is that you have 3 extra damage in most scenarios that you need to take. Because this is, you have no choice here. This is forced. You have to deal damage to yourself, and you could put that on Daniela. You could put it on a different asset. And you just need to do this 3 times. 3 times, and it goes away. But it really is 3 extra damage that you otherwise weren't taking. So she's a 9 health, 5 sanity. Sometimes it feels like she's really 6 health, 5 sanity. And that's not much for Investigator who needs to tank a lot. That said, big upside. Remember, I said that her ability, let's just go back to it, the front here of her Investigator card. Her ability can be to fight an enemy using a basic fight. It could be using the wrench if you found it and played it. It could even be something better than that. There are some upgraded weapons that will deal 3 or 4 or more damage. So the upside on this is really chewing through a lot of enemies quickly. That leaves Daniela in a place where she could have other actions to do other things. So with the survivor cards as her off class, which is almost all of the survivor cards in chapter 2 at this point, R0 to 2, there's a lot of things she can actually do. So it's a little scary, but really lots of upside here as well. Let's take a look at the deck that we are given to start from and make some improvements. As I said, 1 copy of everything. Let's check all these cards out because it is a little wild, in my opinion, to look at all of this and say, my goodness, what did they stick us with? First off, we have 2 copies of a weapon called Broken Bottle. This is 1 cost, which is really cheap. Fight, you get +1 for this attack. If you succeed, you may discard Broken Bottle to deal +1 damage for the attack. As I said, the gold standard is +1 damage per attack. I didn't say that you can use this for your entire turn, right? It's okay to not deal 6 damage or 8 damage. Her wrench is really, really strong. This just gets you basically the extra damage once. If you had a 4 health enemy, you could fight twice, and then the 3rd fight, you could discard it and deal the extra damage. For a 1 cost asset, it isn't great. Remember, Daniela already has 5 combat. The +1 combat here is not that important. So we're probably going to get rid of that. However, there aren't that many options for weapons. One thing you need to keep in mind if you are pairing Daniela with some other investigator or with a larger team, you're going to be fighting over some of these cards. If you're just playing 2-player, I recommend you put Daniela with either Trish, who's not going to fight over any cards with you, or Dexter, same thing. Dexter is Mystic and Rogue. Trish is Rogue and Seeker. So no problem there. If you are in a larger team and you need to share some cards, you might start considering something like Broken Bottle just to fill out the deck. I don't recommend it, but okay. The hand crank flashlight, I think, has a worse argument. This is also cheap. It lets you investigate with +1 for the test. If you succeed, discard it to allow the shroud to be -1 to the end of the round. This gives Daniela 3. If I'm playing solo, I think there are better ways for her to get clues. In fact, with her off class, as well as some good Guardian cards, there are ways for her to get clues without relying on the skill tests themselves. This probably doesn't belong in the deck at all, but we have 2 copies. So thinking about her 4 numbers, she's got really good combat, and then the next stat is willpower, which is okay, right? Her 3 willpower is okay. The other 2 numbers we just don't want to engage with at all, if we can help it. So bear in mind that those are the 2 cards that we probably can dump. Let's go ahead and edit the deck and see what we can change here. So I just have all of the level 0 cards here from the 2 classes. Remember, these are all the cards. It's just a question of, do we want any extra of our neutral cards? And I think the answer is yes. So let's get rid of the flashlight. The reason why is that there are other good cards here that can get clues. The event package that she has, I believe that's all on this side, yes, includes staples such as Look What I Found. This is more expensive than just throwing down the hand crank flashlight, but its ability is, after you fail a skill test by 2 or less while investigating, I get to just flat out discover 2 clues, which is better than getting the 1 clue for my action. You're spending 2 resources in a card, so you have to deal with that issue. And affording the events is not nothing. But the magic in this game, if you're not familiar with this, failing by 2 or less while investigating just requires you to pick any token out of the bag when you're at a 2 shroud location. As long as you're not passing the test, drawing a 0 or +1 or Elder Sign, you will fail by 2 or less. Even the auto fail token, even the -4 token. This card is extremely powerful. If we want to get some clues in this deck, I want to think about that one. But I have 2 other cards here I could think about too. If I want just a 1 clue, we have Lesson Learned. Cost me 1, also fast, play after an enemy attacks you. I wonder who wants to do that in this core set. I think without a doubt, if I'm trying to get any clues at all, I think I want 2 of these. This will just trigger by me playing the deck that I want to. Let's put in 2. The third one is Scene of the Crime. 2 cost as well, but this will potentially get us 2 clues. Play only as your first action, so it has to be, again, first action of your turn. Discover 1 clue at your location. 2, instead, if there is an enemy at that location. Now, this action doesn't provoke a tax opportunity, which is kind of funny because maybe we do want that. Maybe we actually do want that to happen. We're going to leave this and Look What I Found as one-ofs right now. But think about your team. If your team really needs clues, and Daniela, who's kind of a bruiser here, this is maybe not what you want to include all the time. You need to think about how I'm going to survive and deal damage back. But picking up a few clues is very important. I recommend having it even in your fighters. It's just maybe not worth 6 cards in the deck. So I'm just going to leave them there and we'll come back. There's a couple cards here that we definitely don't want though. Shove Off. This is a survivor event that evades. If you succeed, deal 1 damage to the evaded enemy. There's no skill boost here. We're just going at 2. We are not passing this test. Yes, if you fail, it goes back to your hand. That's not helpful. Again, there's a couple other cards we can include. There's Timely Intervention, there's Manual Dexterity, Unexpected Courage that can help us pass. But as Daniela, it's a little bit tricky to think about evasion. I want to get attacked. If we evade enemies, they're not going to attack us during the enemy phase. They're not going to attack us on retaliates. Every now and then we will need to evade, but it's probably not the first thing we should think about. I'm going to get rid of that and the other evade card, which is called Slippery. Again, probably not going to be a good fit for Daniela, and that freezes up some slots. I think I should fill out maybe the rest of the cards that make a lot of sense here. Let's look at the ally slot. 2 really good allies here that she has access to. Alexei Sabarov, 3 cost. When your turn begins, heal 1 damage or 1 horror from Alexei Saburov. 2/2 soak. Very, very good for the chip damage that she's likely to take. It's just going to heal off. Beginning your turn, right? So imagine that you have in harm's way. You deal damage to an enemy, you have to take a damage back, put it onto Alexei, and then next round, it's gone. Can only heal 1 damage or horror. The horror feels like something you might need to use a lot more often, but that damage is probably not a bad idea. We have another way of healing damage too. That's bandages. But I think I want to play 2 copies of Lexi. If you're fighting with Izzy, maybe you can't, but it's not a bad idea. Bodyguard is not a good card. It's very expensive and it soaks 2/1. Once it dies, 1 damage. The upgraded one is better. We can think about that later. But considering we have another good option for an ally, Bodyguard is not going to make the cut. I want to run 2 copies of Logan. Now, Logan has a bit of a problem for Daniela in that he's quite expensive and gives you +1 combat that I otherwise might not need. My weapons are probably good enough. Probably. 5 is good, but when you start running into 4 combat enemies, especially ones that deal damage back to you on failed attacks, retaliate, maybe 5 isn't good enough. Maybe getting up to 6 plus whatever from your weapon is much better. So I think he wants to be in the deck, but he also is okay if he just doesn't get drawn, played, or I need to use him for that 2/1 soak. So we'll put him here if you're sharing with Joe. Again, decisions have to be made. I like Logan. I think he should be in every deck, but it's okay if he doesn't get played. Maybe later we can upgrade into having an extra ally slot and we can play both of them. Then you feel a lot better. Okay, that feels good. We do have 28 cards in the deck, so we're probably going to... Oh, I accidentally got rid of Timely Intervention. Meant to get rid of Slippery. But let's see if there's anything else we can just cut. I think we feel pretty good about not needing the broken bottle. It's really bad to not have weapons as a fighter, but I think we have enough of them. Plus, we have the wrench. So let's look at our hand slot weapons. We have a single copy of M1911. It's a cheap gun, better than machete for dealing with enemies that have more health or might not be engaged with you. We're going to throw it in 2 copies. There's probably no reason not to. We can have a second copy of machete as well. This is a really nice melee weapon that doesn't run out of ammo. Its problem is that you can only deal the extra damage once per round, and the enemy has to be the only enemy engaged with you. So if you've got a swarm of enemies, you have to use maybe the gun to kill the other ones. Meat Cleaver we also run, simply because we are likely to have 3 or fewer remaining sanity, and the +2 combat is really good. This gives you a 7 base. You can heal horror with this as well. Potentially you have to be judicious about using the below ability here that says, when I trigger this ability, take a horror, deal extra damage for the attack. Potentially what you do instead is you use this just for healing and maybe use the machete or the M1911 in the other hand slot to deal the extra damage. Just sort of depends on where things are at. If you have Alexei out, this is good. Put the horror on Alexei. It heals then at the beginning of your next turn. Pretty good. Just to be careful. Don't want to take extra horror if you don't need to. It's still redundancy, and I think it's worth our money compared to the broken bottle. That said, if you really think the broken bottle is worth your deck slot, you might think more about this jumpsuit. This allows you to basically take tools or weapons, including the broken bottle, back into your hand. There are a few treacheries out there that make you discard things in your hand. If you haven't played her wrench yet, it's a tool that's going to end up in your discard pile. Is this worth a deck slot? 1 resource, 2 health. I don't think so. I think this is a fine card that you might grow into with a larger card pool or some shenanigans you're trying to pull off, but I don't think so compared to including, say, more copies of your other soak. So let's not run that. We're still at 28 cards. Okay. Rest of our no slot items, we have bandages. This is pretty good. I think we need it. Resilience is our other way of soaking. This is 2 damage, 2 horror we can soak. It's not cheap. I think we want 2 of these just in case, but yeah, I'm not thrilled about that. We have the spend resources to increase your skill value. This one, Endurance, seems right up Daniela's alley because you're spending 1 resource to get +2 for attacks. That seems really good. It's expensive. If you're running the things I'm doing here, you really want Logan to pay you some money. Maybe you need to run the bottle. Ugh. I don't think in the core that she has enough money to do this too often. And I don't think level headed, which is the other one that helps us with skill tests on scenario cards, is going to make the cut either. I would rather my team have ways of passing these tests instead. And I think if Danielle is already thinking about, I need to have more soak than usual, she'll just fail some of those tests. she'll fail tests that are going to be dealing damage or horror, and that's just okay. It's not great, but I don't think she has the money to put into something like level headed either. Good card. I think we take out both of these, and on standard difficulty, I think we can justify this. On hard or expert, we probably need to play more into something like this than otherwise. Okay, Hunter's Instinct is an interesting card. This is a asset that lets us recur events from the discard pile. After every time we engage an enemy, we can send a supply here, exhaust it, add a level 0 event in your discard pile to your hand. So pretend it's something like emergency cash, right? Now I'm getting extra uses of that emergency cash. I'm likely to engage enemies as Daniela. Let's see if we can make room for 2 copies. Which kind of requires I have some level 0 events beyond just emergency cash. I've already stated that I like lesson learned. Let's double up one of the other ones now. I don't think I'm going to... I mean, this is obviously good and doesn't require us to be around enemies. And it's likely we'll fail the skill test by 2 or less. The other choice is Scene of the Crime. Now, what's cool about Scene of the Crime in Daniela is while this card doesn't provoke attacks opportunity, I then basically have 2 remaining actions, of my turn to deal with that enemy at the location. Daniela gets an extra one. She gets the enemy phase potentially to do some more damage. So it's not bad to give up your first action for a couple of clues. While Scene of the Crime is just as expensive, I think it's better for Daniela because what we're going to do with this card is use it for, like lesson learned, for cases where investigating location is actually bad. There's plenty of cases where the shroud has been increased to something very hard to actually use our look what I found the way we wanted to, or we have to spend extra actions to investigate that location. I think Scene of the Crime ignores some of those problems and it fits really nicely into our deck. So let's go with 2 of those and remove look what I found. Over to the skill side, I think we always want 2 copies of Vicious Blow. This deals extra damage. We want to make sure we can hit 3 help enemies in 1 shot. Or for big chunky enemies, we're getting through that faster. We'll do that. All right. We have 1 copy of Right Tool for the Job. This lets us look for a tool or weapon asset at our hand. We could run 2 and run 1 copy of Timely Intervention and just be done here. Our other options are to look at the neutral cards and think about adding in Guts. This is a way of leveraging our 3 willpower and maybe drawing a card off of this, maybe passing some tough treacheries because we have nothing else for that. Another way to do that is just to go with 2 copies of Timely Intervention, which is kind of the same idea without the card draw, but also it lets us not use it until we need to. Potentially this is better Mythos Protection because it's getting us the Agility Treacheries as well. So let's take the tactic where we run 2 copies of Timely Intervention and not run the Guts. That's going to push out the right tool for the job. Let's check this out. 17 assets is a lot. In Chapter 2, we just don't have the actions to play these things. That's okay. You're not going to try to. What we want is redundancy and to not just be caught not being able to play our things. Sorry, not having things for what we need. So with a lot of weapons here, we have 7. We're going to find them. We don't need right tool for the job. We don't need that card to recur either with the Hunter's Instinct, so that's okay. The only things we're recurring right now are these events. I think that's okay. And our skills are pretty good. We could, instead of Unexpected Courage, run the Guts. That would be fine too if you're worried about the card draw. I think this seems pretty good. It's just a lot of assets. It's hard to cut Hunter's Instinct here. I think you want it, but it's not a priority to play. It feels very expensive. The only way right now we have making any money is Logan. After we defeat an enemy, gain a resource, and emergency cash. These assets are all expensive. Broken Bottle might be okay here, but you're going to miss something. You're going to miss not having something else. Now, remember, every time you build your own deck, you need to have a random basic weakness, so we're not going to include Wounded. We'll just have some random basic weakness. I think this seems fine. I'm not thrilled with it. I wish there were a few other cheaper things. We might not run the bandages and run something like Guts instead. I feel like there's something here that we don't run, just based on the cost of all these cards. If you're in a larger team where you just don't need any clues, let's replace some of these other cards here with some other skills, probably. Okay, let's briefly look at the upgrades here just in the core, and then we'll talk about things that you might add when you are playing the more expanded card pool with Tommy Muldoon and Miguel de la Cruz also in your deck, your card pool. So there's 2 main things you can do with Danielle when you upgrade. One is get some 2-handed weapons. It's a little tough because you can't really have them and your wrench or your machete or meat cleaver in play, but you just play the big weapon, you shoot big weapon, you swing big weapon, and you feel pretty good about things. I'm not sure it's the best play, but it depends on how much you like the wrench. If the wrench is not something you need all the time, then this is fine. Let's check out the Sledgehammer. This is a level 3 card, and it costs you 3 resources. You can fight with the top ability, spending just 1 action, deal +1 damage. With your 5 or maybe 6 with Logan, I think this is pretty good. You're actually going to pass a lot. You're not doing that for the 3 experience, right? That's not worth your time. You're really doing this for the 2 action attack. The 2 action attack gives you +3 combat. So now we're going at 8 or maybe 9. If you succeed, you get to exhaust Sledgehammer for this attack to do +2 damage. All right, so 2 actions, 3 damage. It's decent. It's not as cool as the gun we're going to see, but the fact that you can do this every single round is good. In higher player counts, you might need to. There are a decent amount of 3 health enemies or more worth thinking about. Winchester Model 12. This is the big gun. It's 5 experience, 4 resources, 3 ammo on it. So after it's done, this is where you start thinking about if I'm speccing into this, maybe I like the jumpsuit. Maybe I like to bring this back from the discard pile. Okay, those are some reasons to play some different cards. Spend an ammo fight, you get +3 for this attack. So you go up to 8, maybe 9, commit your vicious blow, commit your overpower. If you succeed, this attack deals +1 damage for each point you succeed by, to a max of +4. So you can do 5 damage if you succeed by 4. So this is really good, right? You're going to do the baseline 1 damage plus 1 damage for each point you succeed by. Succeed by 1, right? You're going to deal 2 damage. If you fail and would damage another investigator, don't. Do not fire this gun if the enemy you're trying to fight is engaged with another investigator. It's a massive enemy, it's fine. That doesn't matter. If it's non-massive, that's where you get a problem here. Don't do it. Take the engage action. As Daniela, that's actually probably what you want to do anyway, because if you don't kill the enemy outright with this thing, then you'll get a chance to, well, maybe fire the gun again. So we'll see some upgrades in the Tommy deck that actually helps put some more ammo on this thing. For now, potentially you're dealing 15 damage. That's really, really good. Expensive though. So that's one thing you could do. The other things you can do is go a little bit more into the defensive side. Mostly this is the upgraded bodyguard, which is just more soak and deals some damage on the way out. Fine. Like, pretty solid use of your resources. You can play a card called Counterattack. When an enemy attacks and investigate your location, you cancel the attack, deal damage back. This is a good way for you to not take as much damage. Careful, this cancels the attack. You cannot react to the attack anymore with Danielle's ability. Canceled things have not happened. Then there's Scrape By. Survivor card that when you would fail a skill test during which a non-auto fail token was revealed, you automatically succeed at that skill test instead. If you get a symbol token, then you take a horror. Fine. So automatic success means that you succeed by your skill value. This comboed with, if you have the XP, the Winchester is going to deal the maximum damage. So you have to fail the test in order to make that happen, which sometimes with the Winchester, you just succeed by not enough. You actually have to fail in order for you to play Scrape By. This is also just defense for all kinds of other bad things happening. As long as it's not an auto fail, you pass. Sometimes this is good for just like a clutch clue. I don't think the Old Compass or On the Brink are worth thinking about, but you could potentially run Charisma to get your extra ally slot. Okay, that's what we got from the core. I think replacing one of the weapons you don't like as much with one of these is pretty good. Adding Charisma in, Bodyguard, like these are things you can do without really breaking up the balance of the deck. The Charisma and maybe like Bodyguard allows you to lose a resilience or two, but as you can see, things don't get cheaper with the upgrades. Got to be careful there. Let's go ahead and add in the Tommy and Miguel decks and see if there's anything different we would do at level 0. All right, so once you have put some more of your own money into expanding your card pool, and you pick up the Tommy Muldoon deck and the Miguel de la Cruz deck, that's the Guardian and Survivor ones, what can we do with Daniela Reyes? Because she can take a whole lot more cards. There's some interesting stuff even at level 0. We'll check those out first, and then think about the upgrades. Again, this is an influx of, well, it's like 15 new cards or so in each of those two classes at level 0, and then another 15 or so above that. So there's a lot of options. Okay. First off, we can think about the weapon situation. We have a new weapon, the Service Revolver, that seems printed for Daniela. It's a 2 cost, so cheap weapon that has 3 ammo. After an enemy attacks you, spend an ammo, fight. The attack targets that enemy. You get +1 combat and deal +1 damage to the attack. That's really good. This is doubling up on her ability. Now, her actual ability can't spend ammo from this. This is not taking a fight action. It's just a reaction. That's okay. Use something else. Use a basic fight. Use this in conjunction. The only thing to be careful with Daniela with these sorts of things is if you have extra, even more of these fight actions, if that enemy has retaliate, you are setting yourself up for potentially taking a lot of damage in horror if you fail any of these. So just be careful. That's the dance you need to take between, well, it's nice to turn off retaliate when you evade enemies, but then they don't attack you, I can't use my cards. So just be careful. All right. Allies. There's two new allies. There's a level 0 police dog. This is a 1/1 soak, so that's probably not good enough for us. During attack or investigation at your location, you get to exhaust police dog to get +1 skill value for the test. Attack or investigation, we're not doing so many investigations. We could help others with it. The attack for +1, just play Logan. There's really no reason to run police dog. Alexi's also too valuable, I think. Rookie Cop has better soak than I think the Bodyguard does. So it's reasonable to consider Rookie Cop for uh, another ally to put into play to sort of churn through. Getting the clue is nice. Reasonable to think about. I don't think this replaces anything we have in the deck, other than potentially resilience. If we think we can pick up charisma early enough, it's not a bad idea to churn. But this is quite expensive. Protective Vest is going to help us find firearms or upgrades. We'll see upgrades in a second. 2 health soak. Maybe. Problem here is that it's just cost 3 again. Okay, the events have a lot to do with either investigation or with adding ammo or things to guns. If Daniela's going with the guns, like the M1911, the service revolver, the Winchester, then maybe we think about this sort of thing. But no matter what we're playing, I think we want to put a copy of Bounty, 2 copies of Bounty to improve our economy. What are we dumping from this? You kind of say, well, maybe the Hunter's Instinct goes, but no, I want to recur this with Hunter's Instinct. Maybe the emergency cash goes. No, I want all of these things. So it might have to be the bandages. It might need to be something. But this is a very valuable card that something else has to go for it. Maybe I say, look, 1 clue is not enough from an event. Someone else get the clues, please. I would like to make sure I can deal with the enemies and pay for all my cards. That's probably where I'm going with most of the things I might replace. Which is kind of where I sit with things like custom grip, iron sights, any of these things that say, well, I make my guns better. Like imagine how cool this is attached to the Winchester, where I'm getting +3 skill value. I almost certainly succeed by the 4 or 5. That's good. I just don't think there's deck slots for this stuff. So I think we pass on all that kind of thing. And the same can be said with physical fitness. The healing is probably too expensive for just the 2 damage. It kind of competes with the bandages in a way that it's kind of interesting. So maybe that could be a replacement. You can recur it with Hunter's Instinct. I don't know, maybe. Restrained is kind of a cool one. This one allows you to evade an enemy, and then that enemy doesn't ready. Very strong for a big enemy I can't actually handle. But I probably should try to handle it. I'm Daniela. Cool thing to recur, though. I don't know. This is a good card. Does it make the cut? I don't think Stakeout does. This one gives you +2 investigation. If you succeed to heal a horror, only gets me to 4. I don't think that's enough for including an event like this. Good icons. Skills. We do have Adapt and Overcome. This allows us to ignore, alert, and retaliate. Is this good enough to replace my Unexpected Courage? There's good reasons to ignore retaliate for Daniela. And then armed to the teeth, this could also replace Unexpected Courage. This gives me +3 on my machete or my meat cleaver. Not a bad card. Wish I had room for all of this stuff. Something's got to go to make room for these. I'm not going to say like much better cards, but marginally better. I don't think you get rid of Timely Intervention. I think it's too powerful. Unexpected Courage can go overpower needs to stay. The card draw is just too big. Too big. Okay. Those are all the level 0 Guardian cards. On the Survivor side, much of this stuff is for Miguel. And a lot of it is more on the agility side. And we just don't have that. Pocket Knife isn't going to make that cut. The part that makes this card good is the agility. You think about it a little bit and say, I want the money. I can use this on a 1 health enemy or to do the 3rd point of damage on a 3 health enemy. But oof. Does this replace Machete? Does it replace Meat Cleaver? Gotta really think about how you are giving up your ability to do the normal 2 damage. Interesting. Daniel Jameson is another card that is very strong, and there's something to be said for, I don't need the agility, I want the retest. After you fail an attack or evasion, exhaust him, attempt the skill test again with +1 skill value. 2/2 soak is really good. Am I not playing Logan? Okay. I don't think you need Hunting Dog. Interesting card. I just don't think it makes the cut here. Other new things. Loner lets you move as a free ability to an empty connecting location. There's no enemy there. You're just moving. Nice. Except for I'm going after the locations that have enemies. That's what my job is. Probably not worth my time either. Then there's a few of these traps that you could deal pretty decent amount of damage and save some actions with. It's going to cost us some more resources to play things like guerrilla tactics. It's good though. I can pass these tests, says Daniela. The other one, Lion Weight. This one's fast. Don't think I have the resources, but again, I can make use of this ability pretty well. Stalk Prey is interesting. I want enemies so I can kill them. Draw a card and discover clue your location. Again, it fits more into the trap thing. I don't think that she wants this. Nope. I don't think so. There's a few other things here I don't think are interesting either. Do or Die is another skill card that lets you do some recursion, but it's only getting survivor stuff back. I don't think we have enough of these. Plus, combat is not an icon here, which is what I really would want. So I think we can leave the Miguel stuff in the box, at least at level 0. Let's check out the ones at level 1 to 5. Go back up to Tommy's deck. Here, just level 1 to 5. We have an upgraded gun. This is a one-handed gun, right? So it's our M1911. It is just getting +1 for the attack over the plus. So it's +2 compared to +1 from the level 0. Ignore the Retaliate actually seems kind of sick here. This is a good candidate for using for my reaction ability. Okay. We have a bigger gun. This one costs 6 resources, 6 ammo. You get to basically fire a couple of times for each action. Spend an ammo, you get +3 and deal +1 to the damage for the attack. Great. After you resolve the above ability, you get to do it again with no combat boost. Yeah, that's pretty decent for her, right? Again, think about you getting attacked, and then you can just put an extra 4 damage out there. Not cheap, but seems fun. Detective Sherman is a new ally that gives us a little bit more clue discovering potential. I think if you're going to go into the charisma plan, you could also get this guy and not have, I don't know, one of the other level 0 clue events. Like this is kind of a similar idea. I can replace Logan, but Logan's good. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, it works perfectly fine in Daniela. It's just more soak, which I think you could use. Right? Police dog level 1 is just better than level 0. You're not using him for the soak, you're using him for the +2 skill value. Not bad. Still, kind of tough. Protective Vest lets you have another hand slot to hold firearms. Now I can think about playing the wrench and a two-handed weapon. Well, the guns. More soak, 4 XP, 3 resources, expensive, but maybe this is how I want to get geared up. Upgraded endurance. It's the same as the level 0, gives you the starting ability to find it after doing your opening hand. Okay. If you're not including the level 0 one, it's tough to justify this, but I think with the extra resource generation you have from stuff we've seen, we think about it again. Again, passing tests is good. All right, couple of upgrades here. Extended barrel, +1 skill value while attacking with the attached asset. Nice. This is going to improve our Winchester, improve anything else we got. If we're leaning into firearms, fine. Again, I don't think I'm playing any clue stuff then. Maybe I don't think about the bandages anymore. Start dropping the hunter's instinct, maybe. On the beat, I don't want this. I don't have time for it. At solo, maybe. Otherwise, probably not. Again, I'm investigating at 5, but it can't be the only way I get clues, right? The other level 0 events are probably just more reliable. Physical fitness, this one lets us heal 3 damage instead of 2. It's also cheaper. If we're taking a lot of damage with our weakness, maybe we could have some physical trauma. I think about this. You're always going to be moving. You'll always be able to play this card. Stakeout, this is more investigation stuff. It's reasonable for healing the horror, but I think I want to heal the horror in other ways. We'll see why in a second. Stock ammo reload, 5 ammo. Yeah, this is good. If I'm playing the big guns, this is good. Indomitable, this is a skill card. I know I'm going fast through these. Skill card that gives you lots of icons, potentially good for your shotgun type of build, the Winchester. Otherwise, 3 XP. I think all these other things look better than that. Vicious Blow level 2, just more damage for succeeding by more. Good stable card. Okay, the cards we get access to in Survivor, it's actually most of them. We have a smaller Winchester. I don't think this is up Daniela's alley. I think we have, unless we truly just don't have any XP, just get the better weapons. This is fine, but it has 2 ammo. We can put more ammo on it, but like literally just play around the better weapons. I think this is fine for Miguel, but yeah. Okay. However, from this deck, I might take the canteen. You'll notice we haven't had any accessory slot things yet. This is just 1 action, 1 resource, and then I get to heal 6. Need a few rounds for it, but I bet I can find those rounds. Good card. We have some more healing, extra rations. This lets us heal kind of like bandages does, but it's can happen after I've taken all the damage rather than immediately when it happens. Level 200's Instinct lets us recur level 0 to 2 events. The more I add these, like scrape by, the better this gets. Otherwise, I do kind of like the idea that you get to recur your stock ammo reload and just have that Winchester just go crazy. Or the Thompson submachine gun, like also. This is the fantasy with Daniela, that you have a huge number. You get to play all these good cards. There's good synergy between the Survivor stuff. I think you have to like lean into it though. We have an upgraded another event to heal. Fine. If you need to heal, it works. Guerrilla Tactics is another one of these events that lets us target enemies at connecting locations. Good. I just feel like we have better things to spend our XP on, and there's just not that much XP to begin with. So, okay. The other one that is like potentially, I guess there's Respite, which lets us bring back level 0 stuff. It's all right, right? It's okay. The other one that's kind of interesting is this Gruff skill card, which gives us potentially a lot of wild icons as well. I like this better than the skill card that Guardians did get at level 3. This card I think is quite similar, but just cheaper. I think that's it. There's not a huge number of things from the Miguel deck that I'm interested in. It's really just this Canteen. Potentially you could go with some of the other events, but I don't think you need them. Oh, I kind of forgot. I probably should have said from the level 0 cards from Miguel's deck. I think I just completely whiffed on looking at this card. This could be your way of paying for all these events. It's like another emergency cash. Spend it just for events. This could make the cut. It's tricky though, because if you're running Hunter's Instinct, you kind of want this too. You could dump the bandages and think about upgrading into the events that heal damage instead, just because you can pay for them. Not a terrible idea. All right. Well, that's it. That's kind of our wild look at everything Daniela might be able to do with the card pool. Again, deck building is fun. You can maybe try some other ideas here and have a little bit more clue gathering. Pick up the old compass. There's definitely some pieces here, but I think Daniela's ability and the front side of the card just screams to you, I'm fighting. I need to fight. I need to heal. I need to soak damage and horror that's coming in. I found her when I played her that she's a bit fragile, more fragile than you think, which is why I've been so insistent on running these good allies for that. But you might have better luck. You might have more ways to play around this sort of thing. But just be careful. Like, this stuff is expensive and important, crucial to play her. Otherwise, sometimes it feels like you don't have an ability. I think with Joe, who we talked about last week, it's just so easy to play the game normally, so to speak, investigations, and you get value. For Daniela, your extra action value comes with a cost. That is taking some damage and horror. Sometimes you'll find enemies that don't actually deal damage or horror, but then they do something else bad to you. And some other enemies just do bad things to you when they attack you anyway, and you can't avoid that. So those are some like soft counters. I will say that there's been some question about how elusive works with her ability. The latest we've heard from developers at this point is that she is able to use her reaction ability on enemies that have elusive before they actually leave. So they attack you, you can react back, and then if they're still alive, they move to a connecting location with no investigators available. So that's nice. You don't have to just take elusive attacks and never get to use your ability. But that's not super obvious for how it's written on the card. I don't think the way that her ability on the card is extremely obvious in general for newer players, especially the whole thing about the sledgehammer I talked about before. But this is hopefully a good primer for you thinking about what she can do and what the cards contribute, or in some cases don't contribute, to her deck. I'm going to save this and share it with you in the comments below, as I'll do with all of these better starter deck guides. That's all from me. Thanks for watching. See you next time.